As you can imagine, I flew here.
Your arms must be tired.
Can't really drive here from New York. I fly to most of my shows, and so there's this particular phenomenon that I've noticed at the airport, especially in the States with the TSA people, the security people. Now, when I walk through the airport dressed like a turn-of-the-century gay Jack the Ripper, with my guitar slung over my shoulder, you'd kind of assume the security guards would be looking at me going, cavity search. Definitely. But actually, something completely different happens. This is a true story. When I first noticed this phenomenon years ago, I would be walking through the airport with my guitar, I would be approaching security, and the security guards would look at me and they'd go, "Are you in a band?" And I'd say, "Yes." And they'd go, "What's the name of your band?" And I'd get all excited, and I'd say, "Voltaire." And they'd go, "Oh." And it took me a while to figure it out. But I eventually realized that they were disappointed. They were hoping they were going to get to meet somebody famous. They were hoping they were going to be able to go home and tell their wife, like, "I met the dude from Korn. I met the guitarist from Limp Bizkit." What a tour that would make, huh? Meatloaf with Korn and Limp Bizkit. On the side stage, the Cranberries. I digress. The point of the story is that I call this phase one. I just didn't know what to say. I just told them the truth. And eventually, the sound of disappointment. So I entered phase 2. I'd go to the airport with my guitar over my shoulder. The security guards would see me and they'd go, "Are you in a band?" And I'd say, "Yes." And they'd say, "What's the name of your band?" And then I would just make some shit up. Duran Duran. People would get so fucking excited. Sorry.
Never mind.
They get so excited. "Oh my God." And this one time, you know, the guy was like, "Which member of Duran Duran are you?" And I was like, "Oh my God, fuck. I'm not good looking enough to be any of them." I thought, what was that one American guy who was in the band who was kind of ugly? I could be him. Oh, fuck it. John Taylor. My name is John Taylor. To introduce myself as John Taylor, and as it happens, this guy was a huge Duran Duran fan. Not huge enough to realize I wasn't him, but huge enough to whip out his wedding certificate, and he said, "Mr. Taylor, my wife is your biggest fan in the whole world. Would you please sign our wedding certificate?" I was like, oh, I feel awful. I said, I can't. I have to tell this guy. I can't. I can't. I have to tell him. I have to tell him. And he was like, "It would mean so much to her." And I was just like, best wishes, John Taylor. But I knew I could never do that ever again. So I entered phase 3, which I like to call the emo phase. I would go to the airport with my guitar over my shoulder, and the security guards would see me, and their eyes would light up, and they'd say, "Are you in a band?" And I'd say, "Yes." And they'd say, "What's the name of your band?" And I'd just look them in the eye, and I would say, "If you don't wear black every day, you never heard of us." They'd all look at me like, "What a dick." I think, finally, a correct assessment of my character. And I'm going to go on a tangent for a brief second, because I have to tell you this story. This is a true story. I was at the airport going through once, and a security guard said something I did not expect. She said, "Are you in a band?" I said, "Yes, I am." And the very next thing out of her mouth was, "Is it a Christian rock band?" I was sideswiped. I didn't know what to do. And I just went, "Yes." And she said, "What's the name of your band?" And I just stood there for a second, and I stuttered, and finally I just looked at her and I said, "We're called Satan is a cock-sucking homo." It's a true story. And she looked at me blankly for what seemed like an hour, and then she said, "Keep spreading the good word." Well, anyway, my struggle with these people finally ended one day. I was getting on an airplane. I was putting the guitar in the overhead compartment. And there was this woman, a very normal woman with her 2 children sitting next to me. And she turned and she looked at me and she said, "Are you in a band?" I'm like, "No, I'm a fucking accountant. This is a calculator." "Yes, I'm a fucking band. Jesus fucking Christ." And she looked at me and she said, "What's the name of your band?" I was like, "Lady, if you don't wear black, how old are your kids?" And she said, "What?" I said, "How old are your kids?" She said, "Well, one's 11, one's 9. I said, "Do they watch Cartoon Network?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Do they watch The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy?" They love that show. I was like, "I'm on that show. I'm the evil meteor that eats people's brains." And she goes, "Oh my God, you're incredible." I said, "I know I am." Champagne corks were popping, and confetti was falling from the fucking ceiling. I had finally found a way to connect with these normal people. I finally found something I could tell them that they could get excited about. And she turned to me and she said, "Do you have a CD?" And I said, "I sure do." And digging through my bag, not really sure why, I suddenly sounded like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Digging through my bag, and she looks at me and she says, "Wow, this is so weird." Because I always thought that like goth was like dark and dangerous. I didn't realize it was like goofy and safe for kids. So I fumbled through my bag and I pulled out a copy of Ookie Spooky and I handed it to her and she said, "Thanks, what do I owe you?" I said, "It's on the house." I said, "Give it to your kids. I think they're gonna love zombie prostitutes." Who watch Cartoon Network, you already know this song. It's a song about my favorite body part. Starts with a B. Brains. Alright, we'll do brains instead. Oh, whoa.
Stop now.
Whoa. Shy. Step right up, I'm a reasonable guy. Don't be frightened by the look in my eyes. Just an average evil meteor from out of the sky. Well, I'm just shy and scared in this place. A fish out of water from outer space. You can see that the trip has left me tired and drained. So why don't you be a pal and bring me some brains? Let's make this song slightly more interesting. When I say brains, everyone take all your clothes off. Sir, why is it never the women? Always some hairy back motherfucker. Fucking gorillas in the mist up in here. Shit. You know, the funny thing is, in goth clubs, when I say, "Everyone take off your clothes," like, the majority of people are like, "Whoa, wait, what?" Oh. But I play at a lot of sci-fi conventions. And for some reason, whenever I say, "Everyone take all your clothes off," holy fuck! It's like Starfleet uniforms and Stormtrooper helmets, Master replica lightsabers just flying in all directions. And then, the horror. And that's when I learned there would be no soap in the future. Now let's just keep it simple. When I say brains, you say brains. All in favor say aye. Aye! Go down to your neighbor's place. See the dog expression on his face. You would do him a favor if you brought him to me. He ain't using his brain, he's just watching TV. Down to Mr. McGee's. He hasn't had a thought since 43. His brain is the portrait of atrophy. He ain't using it, why give it to me? Brains, brains! I won't lie. I'll leave the brains till it's zombified. Sure, they might think it's deranged, but they won't give it a thought after I've eaten their brains. Brains, brains! It's okay. It's not a matter if it isn't gray. And if at first they think it's strange, they won't think twice. I am drunk with Power Rangers. Brains! I love them, I need them. My tummy jumps for joy when I eat them. Big ones, fat ones, short ones, tall ones. So delectable, especially the small ones. New time, cook them in a skillet. My belly's rumbling, I gotta need to fill it. I don't fry them, maybe a little drink them. I just grab myself a straw and I drink them. I felt like I was at the World Cup for a second.
So much better.
You've been swell to go around and bring me every single brain in town. But with all these brains, I can't help but think that there isn't one left out there to drink. Now fess up, boy, come on, heck. Is there someone that you're trying to protect? Bring her down here to meet her, and then I promise I'll be your bestest friend. Brains, brains, I won't lie. I'll leave her brains till she's zombified. Sure, she might think it's the rain, but she won't give it a thought until I meet her brain. Brains, brains, it's okay. It's not a matter if it isn't gray. And if at first she thinks it's strange, she won't think twice if she don't have a brain. Brain, brains, bring me her brain. Bring me her parade! Bring me her parade! Let's not kill Uncle Voltaire.